All right, traders, welcome to today's recap. This is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group, and it is Wednesday, April 7th. So where did the indices finish today? Not a whole lot of action in those indices today. S&P finished up 10 basis points. Qs finished up about 0.25%. The Dow was exactly flat for the day. Small caps, you can see I've got them highlighted in red. They were the underperformers for the day. They were down 1.6% for the day. Bonds also kind of slid at the end of the day. We're going to talk about those for a minute or two. The VIX was down 5%. So risk disclaimer in front of you. Everything that we're going to go through here is for information purposes only. As always, not giving out any advice recommendations. This is for education purposes only. If the video is a bit blurry, YouTube takes a while to render the high def video. So if it is blurry, just give it more time to render. Sometimes it does take an hour to render these, and I send them out as soon as I get them. I do put the screen print on Twitter, so you can kind of follow along that way if you like. So let's talk about the price action for the day. Very much choppy. Sorry, I'm just reading. There's a headline here about buyout firms team up for over $15 billion KPN bid. Interesting. Let me just throw this in the old trading room here for a second, and I apologize, but always want to give our members the information first. All right, let's get back to that. So, what was particularly odd today, I think today was one of those kind of even though the indices didn't do much, it felt like it was kind of a make or break day. Yesterday we saw growth rally a little bit, and the question I think is growth going to continue to kind of run with the ball, or are they going to kind of stagger and fall back a little bit? Or is it really going to be, I'll put in another scenario here, is it just going to be a lot harder, to find the winners in growth? More picky, more selective. I kind of think it's that last one, but let's go through and we'll talk about some of the price action for the day. So one of the things that stood out to me right from the start was just market breadth, right? So we do have an indicator that we use that analyzes market breadth, which I think is just turned off now because it's at the end of the day. But if you want to look at the numbers on Bloomberg, right, what you'll see is we'll just look at the S&P and the Nasdaq, but you can see there's 315 decliners for the day and 189 advancing names. Nasdaq's even more skewed to the declining side. 2,200 names were declining versus 720 advancing. So you have to remember how these indices are skewed, right? Their market cap, the S&P, Nasdaq, they're market cap weighted. So the bigger names, just because of the way that they're weighted, they're more of a factor, right? The bigger names like the Google, the Amazon, the Apple, right? Those names will skew the overall index performance, right? It's just how they build these indices. They're not equally weighted. So that was kind of, even though that the indices were flattish to the day or actually up, S&P and Nasdaq fractionally, there was a lot of damage under the hood in terms of this market breadth. It was not a particularly strong day. It was a weak day. So I thought that was we kind of caught that in the beginning of the day. And then we started just this is the 5-minute chart of the S&P, which is just back and forth. To me, when I see market breadth like that, it just tells me to try not to trade much. It doesn't, I want to be more observing and watching a little bit more than actually trading, because it's just harder in these choppy days. Unless you're like a perfect day trader, it's a lot harder. It is what it is. Sometimes the environment is a little bit easier, where it's shooting fish in a barrel, or sometimes it's a lot harder and it's more of a frustrating day. So sometimes days like this, I tend to crack jokes in the trading room, just because I just don't see the edge or the point in trying to wrestle with a market that is just not providing great great opportunities for the day. Just is what it is, and you learn that as a trader, right? We talk about this all the time, but newer traders. I often talk to newer traders who come in the TTG trading room because I try to help them a lot, and sometimes they ask me, "Hey, I just want to make the same amount of money every day." And it's a little bit of a difficult conversation. The market doesn't work like that. The way I trade, I usually make money in bunches, right? When the market is kind of rolling along, right, and hopefully I've positioned for that a little bit better, by following what I'm seeing on the tape, going into the day. I really try to capitalize on the days that the market is moving and has some momentum to it. When the market's not doing much, I don't press, right? And that's kind of what it's about. But yes, you will find this, if you are newer if you are newer to trading, what you'll find is you're just not going to make this. You're not going to be consistent in how much you make every day because the market changes and you have to change with the market, right? Just something that most traders learn, fairly soon after they start trading full time or even a lot part time. All right, so if we look at this breadth, you could see that there wasn't one particular area of the market that was over 1%. But again, you could see a lot of damage in some of the higher beta names. Clean energy names, they were down 4.5% for the day. Solar, down 3% for the day. Those groups have overlap. But also the blockchain stocks, right? High beta stuff, down 4.5% for the day. Biotech for the second day, right? So I don't like to see that, right? Biotech, I think, I've said this before, if you're a regular viewer of my videos, I think biotech leads moves, right? Especially in the growth area of the market. So to see this, right? And I'm seeing this, by the way, in a lot of growth areas of the market. Not every single chart, but a lot of charts. Right? And what am I seeing? Let me explain. Well, here's where we made our obviously new high. Nothing, no major discovery there. We paused here a little bit, but really couldn't do much. And we made another leg lower. We bounced here in the middle of March. A little bit further of a bounce, but again, lower. What I'm looking at here is lower highs, right? Notice we bounced here too in the beginning of the month, right? Biotech got going a little bit. We saw some call buying a little bit in here too, but look at it. It's stalled again at the 20-day moving average. So this to me looks like another lower high. All right. Here's the market breadth, by the way, in the bottom left of your screen. It came up, but you can see all negative, right? So again, that to me is not something that gets me really gives me a warm and fuzzy feeling about the market. It kind of alarms me a little bit. Again, one day not a trend, but you'll see what I mean. The home builders, by the way, were not which have been one of the darlings of the market, also backed off today decently. So. Chinese internet names, which were one of the strongest groups yesterday, they were down 3.8%. They gave back all the gains from yesterday and then some. Tricky group right now. All right, so I think it's because again, there's so many traders fixated on growth, right? They have I know. I'm sorry. I don't think this is making a huge conclusion here, but there's a lot of traders, I think, on Twitter that have a tough transition looking at anything else besides growth, right? So that's why I go to this ARC chart first. So again, this is the ARC innovation chart. What do you see here, right? Is this similar to what I just showed you in XBI, right? Here was your high. Here was a little bit of a fight back here, consolidation. This resolved lower. Here's your fight back in the middle of the month, right? Then complete revisit close to those lows, and it looks like we're stalling out here again. So what did I do with this, or am I doing anything with this? Well, what I've been noticing, since this peak was made, is that this ARC ETF is just underperforming, right? Meaning, for most days when the market is up, this ARC ETF is not up as much. And when the market is down, this thing's getting shellacked. It's just underperforming right now. So, I made a little bit of a call that I haven't done in a while, but I actually put on a little bit of a portfolio hedge. I put on some short-term puts in this ARC. 118 puts. I think this goes back and may test down here. Again, I'm guessing a little bit, as you know, or I'm speculating, of course, with short-term options. But again, I'm mostly positioned long, and if I just see something that continues to underperform, then it's worth it, I think, for me to have a little bit of a portfolio hedge on it. Again, I don't, and remember what a hedge is, by the way. Some people try to make money on hedges. If I had to choose, I don't really want to make money on this, right? So it's a hedge, right? It's to protect your overall portfolio. Because if the market continues to go flat, this thing has a tendency to underperform. So I would rather short something that for now looks weak. Now this may change. And again, I have nothing against the manager of the ETF. I'm just noticing what the stocks are doing that are in this particular ETF. What's the top weight in this thing, right? Well, let's take a look. All right, so if we go ARC, and again, this is a very short-term trade. Don't get mad at me. Don't send me nasty things. Whoops, I got the wrong thing up. So let's do this. I think it's Tesla, right? So Tesla is 11% of this. Well, take a look at what Tesla looks like too, right? Tesla cannot get over this 710, right? They had good news about deliveries. That was the high point for the week. Right, that was at resistance 710. So this may have been a better place to short. Again, I'm not short Tesla or anything like that, but I'm just noticing that this thing is having troubles. So it's still, also, it came out and kind of, not exactly a lower high here, but failed again where it needed to turn the corner. So again, I'm not short Tesla. I'm actually, have been looking for a long in Tesla. Because I do like the company for the long term, and it did hold the top of value on the 1 hour. So there's a little bit of hope. Sorry that the chart adjusted. 660 is the top of value, but again, it's just I've talked about this name a couple times about how it hasn't really gotten out of value. This is the first time that it's gotten out of the 1 hour value area since January, right? So again, you could look at all these times. Right? Again, these value areas are based on price. Here, I'll turn this on for you. It's based on the market profile, right? Price and volume and time, right? So if we turn on the volume profile for our indicator, right, you could see that this is just trading in the range, trading in the range, trading in the range, trading in the range, trading in the range. Trading in the range, and this is the first time that we've been above value. So, we'll see what it does. Maybe it can hold and it can bounce once it kind of comes in. So it's got a test coming, this Tesla. All right, in the short term, right? We're looking on the 1 hour chart. This is not long-term stuff, but that's how I see it. So I thought today would be kind of a make or break day for growth. And you could also see this ARC is sitting at the top of value, so it did manage to close right at support. So we'll see. I don't know. Like I said, one day is not a trend, but I did not like today's price action. What was particular? So I always sometimes I start with the negative, right? That's the negative. Positive is some of the things that we've been talking about, right? What's been doing well? Amazon, right? So. I took off this spread that I had, this weekly call spread that I was on, right? I talked about this earlier in the week, how I got long Amazon. I got out of this for some nice profits, $12, paid $5.80, right? This got to if you watch my video earlier in the week, I think on Monday, this is where I set that call spread up, thinking that price could get to this virgin point of control in the 1 hour. So it got there. So trade worked very well. Also, I think that Amazon could come and take out this virgin point of control. But remember, takes out the virgin point of control. These things a lot of times fade a bit. So be mindful of that. Speaking of which, I talked about this on Twitter last night. Right? Look at where the Qs are. Right? They took out this virgin point of control. 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 And again, point of control is the highest volume for the previous period, right? So it's sticky. So, right, so notice we climbed up to it, took it out, and now are digesting. So again, it doesn't have to be game over, but clearly you've got the pause, which is what I said on Twitter last night. Same thing here, right? You got the we hit this on the 1 hour chart. We took out the virgin point of control, and that's as far as we went, right? So again, these are beautiful for planning out your targets, right? Just like I did in the Amazon trade. All right, what else is going very nicely? Google. I thought it was really interesting with Google, right? So we've got a breakout, right? And I always will go in the direction of the breakout. Now, yesterday, all you had was digestion. And if you look at the RSI, right, relative strength index, it got super overbought on Monday. The RSI almost got to a 90 on the 1 hour chart. So it spent the whole day just, inside day digestion, burning off those severely overbought levels and charging higher up to 2242. So, I don't know if what is being as attractive to these names is the valuation. It's not as expensive as a Tesla or a Unity Software or a Snowflake, right? That's my guess of what's going on here. Why these are more appealing. Microsoft also had a nice day today, right? So again, all of these names that I'm going over, the Google, the Microsoft had an inside day yesterday. And same thing with Facebook, right? So that's where the money is right now. That apparently is more attractive right now. And again, you got to remember these names. As I said, I feel like I'm repeating myself from earlier in the week, but these names that we're going over, the Microsoft, the Google, the Facebook, they really haven't done anything for a while. So that's, to me, at least there is something to trade. Even though when you have the market breadth as weak as it is, at least these things are trending, and there's something that's trending and not so difficult. Last one, of course, is Apple, which I got long the other day too, and I did manage to take a target in this. My target for this is another VPOC up here, which is 130, right? So that's what I'm looking at for Apple. A couple other names that were interesting today. Square. Square also went up to this 1 hour VPOC, went up a little further, but really didn't go too much further. So again, I said in the beginning of the video that there may be some that do a little bit better in growth, or in high growth. Square could be one of them. It's really trying, right? It did close above value, and we'll see if this thing wants to maybe go up to the 262. So strong. I mean, and that's kind of, I gave a couple scenarios in the beginning of the video, and I said that, a few things could happen. And I think that just being selective right now, super selective in growth, that's the way that I'm looking at it for now. I'm leaning towards, I don't think you're going to see all growth participate as it did in 2020. I think it's going to be a little bit of this and that, right? All right, a few other names. Twitter, they made an announcement that they had a couple things that they said today, but one of which was that they were pursuing Clubhouse at one point. This thing, there was some heavy volatility, a lot of call action. I looked at this thing because I stepped off the desk for a few minutes. I got back. This thing was at the top of value, and I'm like, well, I'm not chasing it up here because that's at resistance. So I'll be watching that tomorrow. Again, we'll see if it can come out and make a not so much a lower high, but a higher high. So that's what I would be looking for. Also, there's a virgin point of control up here, right around 71.82 to possibly shoot for. I mentioned I would talk about bonds. This is what I see for bonds, and I've been kind of talking about this as this has been going sideways. But I'm in the camp of what a lot of people, like a lot of people are saying in financial media, unfortunately, which is usually, I like to be a little bit more of a contrarian than that, but I think this thing resolves and goes back to the bottom of value. Now, I was wrong, and I'm wrong sometimes, hopefully not that often, but I thought we were going to turn lower here. We actually bounced around and went sideways, but Again, if I had to guess, I think that we go to bottom of value. So we'll see. Do I hope that happens? No, because I don't have a trade on that I'm betting that bonds go lower and rates go up. But I'm just watching what's going on here in the price action and watching for developments. Now, this is also, if we go to the 1 hour chart, I feel like whenever you go to the 1 hour chart, you could cheat a little bit because you could see if you have support or not, right? You do have some support here at 136. So just like with ARK, the ARK fund, because I think some of these things are kind of related, just like with Tesla, just like with the ARK ETF. And with TLT, you've got a little bit of support here. So we'll see what happens in the overnight market. We'll see if support holds and we bounce. I'm up for either scenario. I've got a little bit of a hedge on in case rates do jack up and go higher. But I think we're kind of getting at a decision point again, right? Especially with growth that rallied in the beginning of the month, right? And is it going to fade and go back to kind of the area that we saw, the lows a couple weeks ago, or are we going to kind of digest before we make a move higher? So I think that remains to be seen. For now, I'm not really positioned heavily in growth. I'm sticking to what I think is showing relative strength. So, like I said, I'm in Apple. I took off my trade in Amazon today. You could look at the trade blotter. I always show you exactly what I did. I added a little bit to this VMware, right? So that's a little bit more of old tech. Kind of old tech, but it fell apart a little bit at the end of the day, but it's holding, right? So it's holding that breakout on the 1 hour, right? It's got a chance. It's limping here a little bit, but it's got a chance. And I tried this name too, which I thought was a good setup too, and I may get stopped out in this tomorrow. We'll see, because I think this group is very iffy right now. Vail, I took a target. AMD, I like easy setups, right? So what do I see in AMD right now? Well, kind of an easy setup. If this thing goes below the 200-day moving average, I'm out. That's it. We'll see if this thing wants to hold and bounce and maybe get above that 50-day moving average, and so be it. I'm in stock, right? I'm not because I could take a quick, easy stop, a paper cut stop. If it doesn't work, so be it. But I'll give it a shot. All right. And then JP Morgan, right? So we're going to have earnings coming up very soon, but I like this couple weeks of consolidation in JP Morgan. It closed above value. I want to see if this thing starts to trend. Again, if interest rates happen to go, if TLT happens to go lower and rates go higher, I would think JP Morgan outperforms, right? So we'll see how that goes. So guys, that's it for today's video. Let me know if you ever have any questions. If you want to be a Tribeca Trade Group member, I go over these things. We have a pre-market session every morning at 9:05 in the morning where we go over, basically what my thoughts are for the day. I thought that we would kind of have this type of a day, honestly. And I mentioned that. I said I was leaning towards that we would kind of have a little bit of a difficult day, considering that those two Virgin point of controls were taken out in the queues. So I think I got that one right. But we go over all charts that people want to go over. So you can just go to my profile, click here to be a member. But I try to provide as much guidance and what I'm thinking for the day. And I honestly think that I add more value on days like this where it's a little bit harder to trade, right? Because I can spot some of these trends, and we've got some great members that spot the trends. So that's where you're going to be a member. Hope to see you in the trading room. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow.